Welcome, everyone. We're going to be starting in less than 4 minutes. We're going to give people a chance to join the webinar. And in addition, we would like to ask those that are waiting, if you can please find a snack for yourself. We're hoping that many of you have a piece of fruit, preferably grapes or strawberries. We're going to be engaged in a mindfulness activity, which includes eating, and we'd like for everyone to be able to practice and participate in this activity. So we will be starting in less than 3 minutes. If you have an opportunity to grab yourself that little snack, preferably, like I said, something healthy, some fruit. Don't eat it right away. We will be using that midway through the presentation to demonstrate a mindfulness activity. Again, for those that are just joining us, we're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. If you don't have a snack in front of you, please take the time to go ahead and get yourself a snack, preferably some fruit, some grapes, something small. We are going to be involved in a mindfulness eating activity, and we would like everyone to be able to really practice that activity. So while we wait for others to join us, we're hoping that you have a little time right now to go ahead and get something so that you can participate in that mindfulness eating exercise that we have later on in the presentation. I like it, Tamara. Hopefully I pronounce it right. Tamara, you're already eating lunch. Save a little of the elote, which is corn. That might be something good for you to practice with. I know it's hard to pause while you're eating, but just save a little something so that we can practice that mindfulness activity. And for the rest of you that are just joining us, we're going to be starting. Oh, hey, the timer, I think, has paused. Let's see if I could. Oh, there it goes. We have less than a minute, and we're going to be starting our presentation shortly. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining our presentation. For those of you that are here, this presentation is going to be talking about mindfulness-based nutrition education, and we're going to look at it as a holistic approach to healthy eating. For those of you that came into the wrong presentation, don't worry about it. Stay here. You'll learn a lot here at this presentation, and it'll help you to be able to approach the following presentations later with a much better mindset. So a little bit about us. We are Hispanic Services Council. We're going to have presentations from Liliana Ramirez. Liliana is one of our promotoras, community health worker. She's been a community health worker for Hispanic Services Council for over 10 years. And Liliana, she was born in Mexico, and the community that she lives and works in is a rural community in Hillsborough County. She educates the community on healthy eating, mindfulness, health literacy, And she also helps connect individuals to services and programs to help to address their food insecurity and access to healthcare. Liliana approaches her work with so much heart, and she's got a helping spirit that really the community looks to her for a lot of help, and they trust the information and the resources that she brings to them. My name is Rosy Bailey. I'm the project director here at Hispanic Services Council. I've been here also about 10 years. My role at Hispanic Services Council is to provide direction and to grow and sustain the health program, which we call it Bridges to Health. The Bridges to Health program utilizes promotoras, community health workers, to address many of the barriers to health that our Latino community experience. So a little bit about our agency. Hispanic Services Council has been serving in the Tampa area for over 30 years. Our primary office is headquartered in Tampa, but we have 5 satellite sites throughout Hillsborough County, primarily in areas that have a high Hispanic population. Even though our primary audience is the Latino community, when our promotoras come into a community, when they're located in a community, they're really there for everyone, and they help everyone with programs and services. And we like to consider them like the rising tide. They help lift all boats. One of the things are with Hispanic Services Council, we have 4 different priority areas: health, civic engagement, which includes immigration legal services, education, and economic mobility. Those are our focus areas because we want to create communities where Latinos are educated, healthy, prosperous, and engaged. So when we saw the theme this year from NACHWA for the conference, the theme being community health workers, our voices heard, our leadership respected, this really resonated with us. And we thought it resonated with the mission of Hispanic Services Council. Our mission is to increase access and opportunities for Latinos and to influence the systems that serve them. So we thought that these were aligned because we want to make sure that in the work that we do, that the voices of our community are heard by decision makers, by policy makers, by other organizations that serve in our community. And we want to make sure that by raising the voices of our community, oftentimes through our community health workers, that we can influence those systems, the programs, and the policy that sometimes, unfortunately, impact our communities in negative ways. So we feel as well that one of the ways that we can impact the systems that serve our communities is by participating in research. Latinos are oftentimes underrepresented in science, and by participating in research, we can raise the voices of our community members in the development of interventions so that they can better reach our community and combat some of the health disparities that are disproportionately impacting communities of color. So what a better way today to show you how we raise our voices than by showing you and demonstrating some of the techniques that we learned in the research that we participated in. So a couple of years ago, we were funded through the National Institute of Health and with partnership through the University of South Florida to look at ways, to see if incorporating mindfulness into nutrition programs could make a difference in the way we approach obesity prevention programs with the Latino community, and more specifically for Latinos living in rural communities that don't have access to a lot of resources, a lot of programs. And so this research that we participated in resulted in a couple of journals being picked up from different scientific journals. The Journal of Pediatric Psychology and the Science Journal picked up some of the results of this research. I'm going to have Monica Pachon. Monica is our promotora coordinator. She's going to paste these links to these journals in the chat so many of you can access this outside of this program. So by us demonstrating this research and participating in this research, we felt that that matched the theme with NACHWA and showing you how Hispanic Services Council lifts the voices of our community members so that it can impact the interventions that they have. So what's our objectives for today? What do we want you to come out of this presentation with? Well, the key thing is we want you to understand what mindfulness is and to understand its benefits. Then we want to introduce you to 3 mindfulness techniques or exercises you can use in your nutrition programs. You can use these in nutrition programs and even other programs that you may have. But even more important, you can use these techniques for yourselves, for your families, for friends. These techniques are really techniques that everyone can use in everyday life. And we know that sometimes the work of a promotora leaves us with a lot of anxiety, a lot of hurt as we're hearing the stories from our community members. And so hopefully we can leave you with some peace and calm and some techniques so that you can enjoy the rest of your day and use these techniques in the work that you do out in the community. So we're going to start our presentation by stopping. So Liliana, if you Liliana can unmute herself, Liliana is going to show you one of the methods that we use oftentimes when we start presentations or when we start to engage in things that might bring us anxiety. So Liliana is going to demonstrate the stop method to really prepare everyone to be ready for this presentation. Liliana?
Hi, and welcome everybody to this presentation. I will have the camera off to concentrate. We want you to stop. Stop what you are doing. Turn down your cell phones or put your cell phones down. Relax and prepare for this presentation. T. Take a few deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. O. Observe your feelings and needs. Are you ready to learn? What do you need? P. Proceed. Are you ready to proceed? We are ready to start.
Thank you, Liliana. As you see, we use the acronym for STOP to remember this technique, the S to stop what you're doing, the T to take a few breaths, the O to observe, to see if there's anything you need to proceed. And then once all of these things are there, once the anxiety has subsided, then P, you're able to proceed. So that's one of the methods that you can use to start your presentations, and also one of the ways that you can engage in before beginning something that might bring you anxiety. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the practice of focusing your entire attention on the present moment, being fully aware of your thoughts, your feelings, the sensations around you, and not being distracted by thoughts of the past, things that happen earlier in the day, or being consumed by the future, things you have to do. Maintaining a moment by moment awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, the way your body feels, helps you to remain calm. Oftentimes we use visual cues to bring you back to the present or to help calm you down. Um, an image of a beach, an image of a calming scene can oftentimes help to create a serene feeling in you. Now, the benefits of engaging in mindfulness exercises is that it helps to reduce that anxiety, that fear, that stress that many of us are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is a big issue in our community and impacting a lot of individuals. And by incorporating mindfulness techniques, these techniques help to reduce some of the impacts of mental stress and anxiety. And they're techniques that we can use at any time and at any point. One of our participants mentioned that she used the mindfulness techniques to help her sleep at night. She said that oftentimes she'd struggle with so many racing thoughts in her mind, not knowing how to calm those thoughts or how to get herself to relax. She would turn to her phone and social media, and that only led to even more anxiety and stress and sleepless moments. She used the mindfulness techniques, particularly the body scan, to focus on the different parts of her body. And she realized that she'd often end up sleeping before she would finish the entire exercise. So what are some of the key aspects of mindfulness techniques? Awareness, being consciously attentive to the present moment and everything happening within this moment, and doing it in a non-judgmental way, not thinking of things as good or as bad. And then also incorporating your breath and a body connection to mindfulness, focusing on the breath or how your body feels or different sensations as a way to anchor your attention back to the present moment. And then accepting how you feel, accepting where you are, and allowing those thoughts and emotions to arise in you without trying to suppress or change them. A lot of these things are key aspects of mindfulness and things that are utilized. So what are examples of techniques that are used in different exercises? Mindfulness breathing, like Liliana demonstrated in the stop exercise, taking deep breaths, which help to calm us, and practicing these breathing exercises as we engage in stressful things. A body scan, like I mentioned, a participant uses, focusing on our attention on different parts of the body, from our heads to our toes, noticing the different sensations. This is especially good in nutrition, which helps us to realize and to understand those full feelings in our body and those messages that our body is trying to tell us. Progressive muscle relaxation. This we use oftentimes with the body scan too. Oftentimes when we're doing the body scan, we don't realize that we're tensing up part of our bodies. And by using muscle relaxation techniques, it allows us to relax those areas in our body that we feel a lot of tension, like our shoulders. Sometimes we're clenching our fist and we don't even realize it. So releasing that tension with muscle relaxation is another good exercise to incorporate in activities. Then there's 5 sense exercises. These incorporate all of our senses. They incorporate things you can see, things you can feel, things you can hear, things you can smell, and things you can taste. There's one particular activity that uses those five senses and uses the number five. So it tells you to focus on five things you can see, four things you can feel, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste. So by using a combination of these exercises and these activities, it helps us to bring us back to the present moment so that we can better relax, better focus on the things at hand. So why is it important to incorporate these mindfulness activities in nutrition education? Many of you have heard the phrase stress kills. And oftentimes, we don't really pay mind to what stress does to our body. But unfortunately, stress can lead to a lot of behaviors, a lot of things that we engage in that lead to obesity, to lead to health issues, that lead to habits, drug habits, eating habits that that unfortunately impact our health. It's found that stress impacts obesity. We find ourselves eating for comfort, mindlessly eating while we're working through reports or activities, eating while we have the TV on. These activities, unfortunately, are carried on not only in the parents, but they are passed on to our children and to our families. It's found that a parental stress leads to individuals not wanting to connect with others, not going out, can lead to depression, which can lead to lower physical activity. This lower physical activity impacts everyone in the family, could lead to unhealthy eating in children. So it's important that not only individuals, but families learn these techniques to combat some of the behaviors that that stress leads to. I mentioned before, a lot of the mindfulness techniques we're going to talk about have been shown to decrease anxiety and depression. There's lots of research out there that shows the different ways that mindfulness techniques have been shown to decrease anxiety, depression, and obesity in our communities. So one of the things that we don't realize is that a lot of the habits that we have are based on our cultural norms, how we grew up. I mentioned before, we pass these things on to our children. We pass these behaviors on to our families. And so many of you, I think many of you have heard some of these sayings here. My mother, I'm Mexican. I was born in Mexico. And one of the things, my mother always served us our plates, so she would serve a mountain of food on our plates. And my mother's the best cook and the food was delicious, but by filling our plates, we overate. We constantly overate. And then, we were chastised, we were scolded if we didn't clean our plate. So even though our bodies were telling us we were full, we wanted to clean our plate because, we heard there's so many children who don't have food. There's a lot of hunger. Don't waste your food. And, we were oftentimes reminded of situations that they grew up with when food was scarce, that they missed meals. They lived in poverty. They came from countries that lacked food, that didn't have food available. So these reminders, these ways we grew up, these cultural eating habits are things that when we talked to our community members about these things, they would laugh about these things and they'd talk about it and they say, yeah, you're right. I do this to my children and I have to find a way to change this in my children. One of the ladies mentioned that in Mexico, there's a saying that says those that eat slow work slow, or los que comen despacio no saben trabajar. Those that eat slow don't know how to work. Well, that causes people to eat fast, and those tendencies that when a plate of food is served, you're eating fast. And so by eating fast, your body, you overeat because you don't stop when those messages, you don't give your body that chance to start to feel full and to send those messages back that you're full and you should stop eating. How many of you here, and I think there's a lot, I don't want to shame, I as well, sometimes go to all-you-can-eat buffets. How many of you, when you're at those all-you-can-eat buffets, you say to yourself, I'm going to get my money's worth? Or how many of you have family members say that, oh, they're going to lose money after I come here because I'm going to clean the buffet? Well, we're used to saying, saying these things, and then when we approach the all-you-can-eat buffet, we serve ourselves everything and as much as possible, and we return 2, 3 times, even when we're full, because we're going to make sure we get our money's worth. Well, I know the economy is tight right now, but unfortunately, when we overeat, when we start to gain weight, the diet-related chronic diseases start to impact us, and we pay for that overeating in the long run, and it can impact the finances of our families by having someone sick with diabetes, heart disease. And so, hopefully the techniques that you hear about today can start to address some of those cultural things that are passed on from our families and that we, as a result, pass on to our kids. So how do we approach mindfulness eating? What are some of the techniques we teach our families? We teach them to be mindful not only of what they eat, but how they eat. And it starts before when you're selecting that food. So we teach a lot of our families to engage in techniques that will help them to better prepare or better select the foods for their families, to go to the grocery store when they have time to read food labels, to go to the grocery store when they're not hungry and want to pick up all of the unhealthy food that really call our attentions with the colors and the packages. So that mindful food selection starts before any food prep even begins. And then after preparing meals, and we encourage meal prep to happen at home instead of eating out, taking control of the amount of salt, the amount of sugar, the amount of fat that's put into food. And then when we're sitting our families at the table, eliminating distractions, turning off TVs, putting cell phones away from the table, not looking at social media, Facebook, when we're eating alone, concentrating on the meal at hand. By eliminating those distractions, you're better able to focus on what you're eating, and paying attention to the signals that your body is sending you. And then we encourage routines and rituals that the family can participate in to help bring them together to what's taking place, the present moment, eating as a family, talking about their day, enjoying the food that was prepared by the hands of someone they love. My family, what we do for our meals, we're a family of faith. We like bringing Jesus into our meals. And so we hold hands, we make connections with each other, and we pause and we give grace and we thank the Lord for the bounty that's in front of us. We thank our mothers. We thank the people, our fathers who have prepared the meals. We thank the Lord for the safety that brings us all together at one time. And so we try to make as many of those meals together as a family. By engaging in those rituals, it helps us to all come back into the present moment, connect to each other, because a lot of these connections are missing. I saw a lot of hearts while I was talking about this. So I see that a lot of you as well are engaging and enjoy and can participate in these rituals. Then while we're eating, we really encourage that everyone serve themselves. We don't know what people have eaten throughout the day sometimes, and by letting people serve themselves, they serve themselves the portions and smaller portions to satisfy them where they are at that point. So by serving family style, where the dishes are at the table and letting people serve themselves small portion, this is one of a good strategy to engage. And then taking the time and mentioning those things that our senses are feeling. Smell the aroma of the dish. That makes you hungry and prepares you to eat. Look at the different colors on your plate. And as you're eating, feel the textures that of the food as you're tasting it, as you're eating it. Then slow eating, especially that first bite. That first bite, keep it in your mouth. Slowly chew it. Let your taste all of the spices. And my family, there's a lot of spices and chilies in the food. So, feel the heat that's coming from the food that you're eating. We really recommend chewing every bite 20 times, 30 times. And it's funny, but I've always been a slow eater, and my family always complains that I'm a slow eater. And after going through this research, I realized that I do chew every bite about 20 to 30 times. And that slow eating helps me so that I don't overeat, so that I enjoy my food, so that I feel the fullness in my body. And then really taking a scan of your body and seeing if it's sending you those messages that, are you still hungry? Are you full? Or is it just because the food is so delicious and you want to keep eating? And to really pay attention to those hunger cues, those fullness cues. Those are the strategies we want our families to engage in when they're eating. And we want these strategies to be strategies that they use to break down some of the cultural norms that we have and that we're passing on to our children. And I just wanted to let everyone know we do have time for questions at the end. We're going to kind of go through all this information, and then at the end, there'll be plenty of time for everyone who has questions. So this leads me to mindfulness technique number 2. I mentioned to everyone at the beginning of the presentation to please grab a little snack, a little something, so that you can participate in this activity. It will give you 30 seconds here to go grab something healthy would be great. If you have grapes, this is perfect because that's what we're going to focus our attention on with this exercise. Go ahead and take some time to find a little something to munch on. The elote that I think someone had, or the avocado someone had that was part of their lunch. And then Liliana, if you can unmute yourself, and we're going to turn off our videos so that we can all focus on this mindfulness activity.
Thank you, Rosy. Now we are going to practice another short mindfulness exercise that we can incorporate into our daily lives when eating. This exercise is a sample of what mindful eating means. Today, we will use grapes for this exercise, but you can do it with any other fruit. To begin, take one of the grapes and observe it closely. You can roll the grape between your fingers. Imagine you are seeing a grape for the first time. Notice its color and overall shape. Does it feel rough or smooth? Soft or firm? Take a moment to focus your attention on the grape. It's normal for your mind to wander, but try to bring your focus back to the grape you are holding. What about the smell? Does it smell sweet? Perhaps it has no scent. Now, carefully place the grape in your mouth and bite into slowly. What does it taste like? Is it sweet? Sour? Now, chew the grape slowly, noticing the sensation in your mouth. When you are ready, swallow the grape. Notice if the flavor stays in your mouth. Now, try this exercise with one or two more grapes. Notice how it feels to slow down and truly taste the food. How did you feel eating the grape in this way? Eating it mindfully?
Thank you, Liliana. So we'd welcome comments in the chat on those that participated and did the mindfulness technique. How did you feel? How was it? Let us know what you thought about and maybe even what you had as a snack. So that mindfulness technique is something that we do often, and it's quite interesting. I'll share a little later some of the struggles that our participants have with that. But please share in the chat if you some of your thoughts and feelings about that technique. Okay. So how can you, as educators, as promotoras, as community health workers, peer educators, how can you incorporate some of these techniques into the programs that you have? The way that we do it is that at the very beginning of the session, we include a 5-minute, and it could be 3 to 5 minute mindfulness moment. The stop method that we demonstrated at the beginning of the program is a really good exercise to use. By starting the presentation, having everyone focus and get into the present moment, it'll help in the learning throughout the program. Then one of the things we like to include is an eating component, a tasting component, because we feel this really solidifies that technique. When they're able to practice the techniques with actual food, it helps them to see the benefits of it, to understand it, to understand some of the difficult aspects of it. Like I mentioned, we oftentimes use grapes, one, because they're cheap enough to grab a big bunch. They are pretty much in season year round. And also it allows us to give the participant more than one grape. Because what happens, and we've had this happen repeatedly, is while they're engaging in the activity, the minute they put the grape in their mouth, they chew it and swallow it, and then aren't able to continue. And so it's breaking those habits of immediately swallowing it down after chewing it once or twice. Those habits that we're trying to break. And so by letting them experience it throughout the entire process, we think that that's the best way to incorporate some of these mindful eating techniques. Then at the end of the class, we try to finish the class with an 8 to 10 minute relaxation technique, sometimes a body scan, sometimes stretching. We want them to leave better than when they arrived. And so by giving them that relaxation technique, they're able to engage in the next thing that follows after the class. Those are ways that we incorporate mindful-based exercises and techniques. In addition, we make modifications. We use techniques in different ways. I wanted to show you how we can use the stop method, and everyone here can use the stop method. When the next time you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, so that you can have that control that you need. So we're going to take a field trip. Everyone's coming with me to the all-you-can-eat buffet. Some say the China buffet, some, there's lots of different flavors of all-you-can-eat buffets. So as we enter the buffet, remember, stop. Stop yourself before you even pick up a plate. Stop yourself before you serve yourself any food. Stop yourself and take a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice all of the aromas of the different foods. See which aromas really make an impact on you. Take a couple of deep breaths to center you back to the next step. The next step is going to be observe. Walk around the whole buffet table. Look at all the food that is on the table, the different dishes, the different meals that are in front of you. Look at things and start observing which ones you think you'll like, which ones are the ones you prefer, which ones are your favorite, which ones are the healthier options. So before you even begin to serve yourself, observe all of the food that's in front of you so that you can target yourself where you're going to eat. And once you're ready, once you know which foods you're going to target, proceed. Serve yourself a small amount of the different dishes that you prefer that are healthier. Focus on those healthy items. And then when you go back to the table, use some of the other techniques that we talked about in the other, at the beginning of the sessions. The looking at the food, starting with that first taste. But then before proceeding to the buffet for another serving, stop again and go through this entire routine so that you can make sure that you're not overeating, you're not just serving food on your plate that you may not even end up eating. So this stop method will come back from the buffet. Hopefully you guys will all be able to use the stop method at the buffet. So Now we would like to open up the room for questions that you may have. We'd like to mention, we do have another technique that we're going to show you at the end of the questions, but we thought that we'd take some time right now to go through any questions that you may have. Let's see, I don't think you can unmute yourself. So if you do have a question, please type it in the chat. I'm going to review some of the information in the chat. Let's see. I like the big smiley face from Emily Molina. Tamara Spain said she doesn't taste the food. Huh. Let's see. Oh, blueberries. Monica, very nice. Had blueberries for the exercise. Tamara, thank you. We agree that Liliana, her voice is very calm. She has when she delivers the mindfulness techniques, she has a very calm voice, and she's one of our promotoras who really does it best. Sometimes we play music when we do our body scans, but we like to sometimes let not use music because people are not comfortable with silence. And oftentimes the silence is what helps ground us. Someone chewed, Emily chewed the grape 30 times. Emily, hopefully that was the best tasting grape you ever had. Too, yes. Blueberries is another thing you can use instead of grapes. Oh boy. I just got a message. Internet connection is unstable. We've got storms here in Florida, but hopefully we'll be able to answer some of your questions. Let's see. All right. So Tamara also mentioned, I think this can help me eat fewer treats because usually you can satisfy a sweet tooth craving within a first few bites. Absolutely. Tamara, that's what I do with ice cream. I'll just serve myself one bite and I put it in, I don't even serve myself a dish. I just grab one bite, eat that one bite, and I put the container back in the fridge. It's very true that sometimes just one bite is enough to satisfy those sweet tooths. So how receptive are clients with this technique? Liliana, are you able to unmute and answer this question on how do people receive these techniques? Especially, you're giving a lot of these techniques in Spanish to a Hispanic audience, which may not be familiar with mindfulness. So you can, if you can unmute and let us know. If you need to say it in Spanish, I can translate as well. So can you please answer that question?
Oh, yes, Rosy. I'm going to try in English. If not, you can help me. All the families get surprised with the exercise because as a Hispanic, we are always in the rush, um, running with the kids here and there. And when they get this moment of mindfulness, they even get sleep when in one of the exercise. And the people receive the exercise, but we have the classes around 7 classes for cada taller, por cada taller.
For each series, well, we have 7 classes.
Yes, and they practice. Some days they perdón, lo voy a decir en español. Am, ellos, era difícil continuar, pero al término de las 7 clases, ellos lo hacían en casa y por lo menos muchas de ellas nos dijeron, incluso cuando tocaba disciplinar al niño, regañar y aventar el chanclazo, ellos respiraban y
Sí,
ellos hacían el mindfulness y muchos de ellos en am, con el buffet, que es como hispanos, vamos al buffet. Sí.
sí. So it's funny, Liliana mentioned that, even the people that didn't complete the whole 7 classes mentioned to her how useful these techniques were. In Mexico, we have something called the chancla, the sandal, that when discipline comes, we just threaten that we're going to go grab the sandal, right? But Liliana mentioned that some of the parents said before they even did anything and started to discipline, they would use these techniques and start to breathe in and breathe out so that they could more calmly address some of the misbehavior in some of the children. She mentioned that a lot of families really talked about the buffet, that, oh yeah, I could use this at the buffet. I always overeat at the buffet. Um, so they really enjoyed talking about ways that they used these techniques at home. There were even children that talked at some of the sessions about how when they had too much homework, they felt that their heart they felt pressure in their heart and uneasiness, and that they would breathe to calm themselves down. So it was received well from the parents as well as the children. So let's see. You talked about Russia. Yeah, thank you. So Tamara is pointing out that, when I talked about rushing through the meal, you don't even have time to taste. Absolutely. You don't really enjoy your food. So are these techniques available in a printed version? We can send, I think we can send the presentation and some of the printouts that we have, PDFs that we have. They're the majority in Spanish, but we've translated some of these in English. So we can send some additional resources that you can look to and use, and some of the ones we use today in our presentation so that you could have them in a printed version. Mary Redden says, I do the cooking at home and I do serve all the food on the plates, but I put small portions. Excellent. Very good, Mary. Small portions is key. And have those conversations with your family to know when they've eaten. Because sometimes my kids will, and my kids are grown up, but when they were driving themselves, they'd stop by Chick-fil-A after school. And so how hungry could they be 2 hours later? So talk to them so you know how much to serve. Emily Molina, Liliana, for the most part, we as Hispanics eat pretty healthy foods, no? I've seen lots of fruits and vegetables. Also, what is the Spanish word you use for mindfulness? I want to share this with my work. You would be awesome or that would be awesome to have those resource materials. Liliana, ¿qué es la palabra por mindfulness en español?
La palabra es atención plena.
Yes, atención plena. Liliana, if you could type that in the chat, that would be great. So someone mentioned, or Emily, you mentioned we eat pretty healthy. Well, it depends. Oftentimes when when we cook at home, we do include a lot of fruits and vegetables, but we also fry a lot of food. Starting with our Spanish rice, which is fried, fried. And unfortunately, a lot of our Latino community is adopting the American diet. They're eating out, eating a lot of processed foods that are high in fat, sugar, salt. So Unfortunately, the Latino community is disproportionately impacted by overweight and obesity. And a lot of times our Hispanic mothers don't realize that their children are at an unhealthy weight. When we were trying to get families to participate in this research project, the focus was getting families who had children who were overweight or obese. And when the promotoras would approach a family who definitely had a child in this category, the moms would be like, "Oh no, my child is not overweight. They're healthy." And so the cultural mindset sometimes we have of what is healthy and what is unhealthy may not be there. And so the promotoras were able to have some of those tough conversations with parents in very respectful ways so that they can realize that some of the things we think are healthy may not be so healthy. Let's see. Oh, I see Tamara. Monica, could you save Tamara's email so that we can send her some information? And then Anne, I always serve my kids so they had to taste everything. Absolutely, Anne, that's a great technique. But only a teaspoon so they could see if they liked a new food. If so, they could have more. If not, they were done. But they had to try all new foods. As adults, they have diets full of lean meats, fish, fruits, and veggies. And that's one thing I did as well with my boys. We didn't serve them a lot, but even if it was something they knew they didn't care for, they got a serving of that every time, just a spoonful, because children's taste are changing and they're growing. They say it takes a child more than 20 times tasting something they don't like before they get accustomed to the taste, the texture, and they'll end up liking those foods. You know, don't stop serving your children foods that they don't like. Have them taste it, and that's all. Don't serve a mountain of that food that they don't like. That's a great technique. Let's see. Lots of people want the resources. Hopefully we can save the chat. So if uh, um, the technology people that are helping us with this presentation could help us save the chat so we can get individuals those resources they need. Molina, or Emily, I'm sorry. What is your teaching on the food and drink? Drink water before eating, drinking at the time of eating, or drinking after eating? Um, we say to drink water often and always, right? And not sugary beverages, and water during the meal, because it also helps in that digestion. It helps to bring the food down so that you're able to get those messages from your body that you're feeling full, you're starting to get full. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. Excellent. Trinity, it looks like you're going to use some of these techniques for childcare providers. Yeah, and in teaching, these would be great methods to teach those childcare providers that are serving meals to children, so that they can use these with their children. Oftentimes, we would have cooking classes with children, and parents that would pick up their children would be like, "Oh, my child isn't going to eat that spinach." And when we tell them, they ate it because they prepared it. You know, those techniques oftentimes come to parents from the children, and that learning can travel upwards as well as downward from the parents. All right. Another minute before we engage in our final mindfulness technique. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll end the questions and then Liliana is going to give us our final mindfulness technique, the body scan. Usually we do this for about 8 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, but we've done it an abbreviated version of this. We will turn off our cameras again, and Liliana will walk us through this final mindfulness technique.
Thank you, Rosy. Taking a moment of mindfulness will help us move our focus and calm our thoughts so that we can make the most of our time together. To begin, find a comfortable position in your seat. You may want to sit away from the backrest and place your feet on the ground. You can rest your palms on your thighs or fold them on your lap. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. This might be the first time today that you pause and take a moment for yourself. Feel the weight of your body relaxing into the support of the chair. Sit and feel your spine lift and stretch all the way to the crown of your head. Let your shoulders soften and relax. Now, take about 3 full breaths to help direct your attention to the present moment. Inhale slowly and exhale gently. Do this a couple more times of your own, focusing on the sensation of your body, slowly inhaling and exhaling. Now, breathe normally. Notice how you feel in this moment. There is no need to change or fix anything. Simply notice how it feels to take a moment of mindfulness, to relax and connect with yourself. And now, when you are ready, slowly begin to open your eyes.
Well, thank you, Liliana, and thank you. Hopefully, everyone is feeling a little more calm, a little more relaxed. And so I wanted to take this moment to thank all of our funders, because without funders that support the work that we do, that support our promotoras, our programs, we wouldn't be able to do this work in the community. So I'd like to thank Hillsborough County for funding us, Unidos US, Cigna Foundation, the National Institute of Health, Florida Blue, the University of South Florida. They have been funders who have supported our work. And then I want to thank everyone here. thank you very much for selecting this, this workshop. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating in the mindfulness activities. We are including our information, our emails, our website for Hispanic Services Council, and my phone number. So if anyone would like to contact us, you can contact us directly. And we're going to give everyone some of your time back today. And so hopefully you'll take that time to get yourself ready for the next presentation, the next NACHWA presentation that's coming your way. Thank you, everyone, and hope you have a good day.